So normally I begin by making sure everybody's connected to Twilio, but it sounds like in the classroom, you guys already are connected. Ebony, are you already connected to Twilio? Can you hear me? She might not be able to answer. Okay, well, just in case you're not, and you're just not able to answer, or for anybody watching this video later, I'm just going to show you where the connection is, but we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. If in Command, hopefully you can see my screen in the upper right corner. I go to my name and I go to settings. That's where I'm going to be able to get Twilio. And while we're here, there's other things that you can connect to as well. Oh, wait, I see a chat. Brian's coming in. I can see. Okay, good. All right. All right, so if I go to settings, then I can see the things that I can connect to with Command. And some of the things that you can connect to in Command are free. Some of them have a charge. Twilio is one of them that has a charge, but it's not very high. If I scroll down to the bottom, it's at the very bottom is where I see Twilio. There's my Twilio phone number. You don't really need to even know your own Twilio number that much. You're not really giving it out to people. You usually would just give out your cell phone. But it's nice to have a Twilio number that begins with a 443 or 410, something local. You know, maybe you'd have them with the 301 if you wanted. So if you had not signed up for Twilio yet, instead of manage, you would have an option of connecting Twilio. I'm going to click manage so you can see. And then I'm just going to hit manage subscription just so you can see the cost of Twilio. It's not that expensive. You know, so the cheapest plan is $3.16. And that will get you up to 300 credits. Let me just look at the plans real quick. So they're not too expensive, but really most people are probably fine with the $3 one. You can always increase it if you need it. And let's say that 1 month you start using a lot of text, you're going to get a warning. Command will tell you, will give you a notification that you're running out of Twilio credits. And do you want to buy some more? And then you could always increase it from the $3 plan to the $5 plan if you need to. But until you need it, you might as well move the $3 plan. If you don't use all of your Twilio credits, those will automatically get carried over to the next month. So that's kind of nice. They roll over. Yeah. So what are you using Twilio for right now? How are you using it, or how do you want to use it if you're not already doing what you want? What's happening right now? Okay, yeah, good. So if you couldn't hear it on Zoom, Kim is using Twilio through smart plans. It's connected in with her smart plans. What are you doing the same thing? Yes. Same thing, smart plans. So most of us use Twilio for is part of the smart plan. Okay. But there's a couple other ways you could do it. So just to show you that, I'm going to just go to my contacts. You guys may have seen this before, but you get a text pretty much every Friday telling you about the training for the next week, right? Do you know what text I'm talking about? It like has a little bit of words and then there's graph. Yeah, okay. That text comes to you using Twilio. Okay, that's what we're doing here at the Market Center. We have a command that has all the agents in it, and we use Twilio when we just want to send a text to everybody. Okay, so that you're seeing it in action there. But here's some situations where you might just want to send out a text to a whole bunch of people. Let's say that you have an open house this weekend, and you want to just send a quick text to all of your buyers, letting you know about the open house. That would be a good reason, you know, or whatever group of people. Anytime I want to text a lot of people, one of the ways I can do it, I'm going to show you another way, but one way is to find everybody that has that I want to text. Usually I use tags for that, and then send a quick text. Okay, so I'm going to just pretend I'm doing that with buyers. Okay. So there's two ways to pull up all of my buyers. One way is if I see a buyer here, I can just click on the tag. Like if I click on investor, that's one of my tags I use, I'm going to see all of the investors. I don't happen to see a buyer handy, so I'm going to do the other way. If I click on filters, I can then choose which tags I want to show. So I'm going to show all of my buyer lead people and hit apply. All right. All right, so in your command, excuse me, maybe you'll do the same thing. Maybe you'll do buyers. Maybe there's some other group you want to send your text to. But that's really the key is I use tags so that I pull up everybody that has a certain tag. All right, now I'm only seeing 10 of them at a time. So that's not quite enough, right? So you can see up here, I pulled up buyer leads. I have 446 buyer leads in my command, and I want to send a text to all of them right now. So instead of seeing 10 at a time, I need to see a lot more than that. If I go to that spot where it says show 1 to 10 and holding my mouse button, I can choose 500. And so now I'm seeing 500 people at a time. And that's more than I need 446, so that works. Okay. And now I'm going to send a text message to all of them. The first thing I'm going to do is select all. That's this button right here. Select all. So when I click that, I've got all 446 buyer leads selected. As soon as I have at least one contact selected, you'll see a new thing pop up here. It says select bulk action. That is not there if you don't have any contacts selected. So that's what I need to do. I select all of my contacts, and then under select bulk action, I can choose the option send text message. You only have this option if you use Twilio. If you don't have Twilio, you won't be able to send a text message using it. You know, a lot of the people in here don't have a text, but have a cell phone number, right? Like this one. Right, so we saw that I had 400 and something people, right? And I'm about to send 274 texts. So there's a lot of people in here that don't have a cell phone. It's not surprising to me because these are a lot of online leads. And sometimes they use a fake number or don't give me a phone number at all. So that's why so many of them don't have a cell phone. If you were doing your, friends and family, you probably would have a cell phone for all of them. I just don't. But it's okay. If somebody doesn't have a cell, it just won't send it. It's totally fine. Now I want to point out one more thing is that we're going to see in a minute, see this daily unique recipients, and it has 200 next to it. The recommendation is that you don't send out more than 200 text to more than 200 unique people in a day. And the reason for that is that your Verizon or AT&T or whichever carrier you use, they might think you're a spammer if you send out more than that. So that's really what that recommendation is. So what I might do if I didn't want to send them all at once, I could just select, 100 of them or 200 of them and only send just those, and then tomorrow do the rest. That's probably how I would do it. All right, but to send a text message to these, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to cancel before it happens. Okay, I can scroll through and look what I've got, but then at the bottom, I have a spot here where I can just type whatever the text message is that I want. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so, I'm not going to spend a lot of time typing something up. Type whatever your text is. You get 160 characters for a text. If you go above that, the text will still go through, but it will use another credit. So if you're trying to, if you're worried about having enough credits, keep it into that 160. You'll also use a credit if you attach a graphic to it. Okay, so you can have an image and you can send that as well, just know that you're being charged a credit for it. So let's say that for that example I used with the open house, I probably would attach a graphic. I would attach an image showing my house, to make them read the text and want to come to my open house. Okay, so I'm not gonna do it, but if I were to click verify and send, it would send this text message out right now to all of us. Yeah, George.
I guess two things in your application, you put up Bitly. You know,
A link? Yeah, you could,
that would work.
it would, yeah.
And then the second thing, should we also use MailChimp as well? That's the only one I have it.
Oh, totally up to you. So, yeah, if you're not hearing this on Zoom, George is asking, first of all, about, now I'm blanking on it. What was the first one we talked? Oh, the Bitly. Could you have a link in there? Sure, you could have a link in there. I actually did it all this time with landing pages. If you've taken a class with me enough times, you've learned how to make a landing page. I often text out that landing page. You can certainly text out a link. And then the next question, what was the other thing?
MailChimp.
MailChimp. Yeah, so that's just another service that you can use if you want. People use it sometimes for newsletters and things like that. Command does really well though with designed emails. I personally don't use it, I just do it in Command. But some people have been using MailChimp for a long time and don't want to lose all the things they have in there. So great deal. You know? Sure. All right, so if I were to hit verify and send, it would send it on out. I often send that text to you. I told you about how we send a text on Fridays with all the classes. I've done that a number of times. And I find that it doesn't get there immediately. It might take like 5 minutes before when I'm sending it out to a whole bunch of people. So when we send it out, we have 300 and some agents here. That's all those people getting a text. It does take about 5 minutes to get through. Okay, any questions so far? That's just step one. All right. All right, what if somebody responds to a text? Where does that go? You know what, George, I think you're in my command. I'm going to send you a text using Twilio. Will you reply to me?
Sure.
Okay, so let's find George because I'm pretty sure I have him in here. Come on, check. Okay.
One other question to you.
Sure.
Like how the ball, you can put it in a message and it automatically like we have where you would say, hey, Tim, or hey, here.
So that's a good question. So George's question was, how can you put in fields to automatically search information? After we get through this part, we're going to be doing a text using a smart plan, and then you can do that. So that's a really great thing to do. And I absolutely do that all the time. And don't let me forget to make sure I mention that.
So that's only a smart plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me spell George's name correctly. All right, George. I should have typed Bowers. Let's do that. Let's just do Bowers. There you are. Okay. All right. I pulled up George's contact right here because I happen to know that he's in my commands. Okay. And I
Actually, can I have the phone number?
Oh, yes. Give me your new number. Okay, so all of you know George's number now, 443
605
605
759.
7595.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
That's the one you've been calling.
Yeah, it's just not the one I had in command, right? Okay. All right, so we're gonna send George a text right now. So I'm in his contact card, and I'm just gonna send him a text using Twilio right now. Okay, so I went to the phone number. I did send text using Twilio, and I'm just gonna say hi. Maybe I'll put an emoji in there too. Okay, so I put a little smiley emoji. Okay, verify and send. All right, so George just received a text. Did you get a text from me?
Yeah.
Okay, take a second. Tell me when you get it. I want to have you respond to it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so look, I'm gonna go out of that contact card and just pretend that I don't know George is about to text me back, okay? So I'm just back to my contacts. Okay, go ahead and send a response. You know, I should always have somebody, a plant, an audience plant to help me out. Okay, now I can tell that George just responded to me because I have an Apple Watch and I have a notification on my phone. I can see it right here. Here in the classroom, maybe you can see it, but it has his text right there on my Apple Watch. The other reason that I would know that I got a text back from George is I have a notification on my phone. Okay, so here it is, Twilio message from George. It has it right here, okay? The other place I'm going to know is that I get a notification right here in command. Okay, so there's a notification that just pops up on my home screen. My app has a notification. There's a notification here and my watch had it. So it's all over the place that I just got a text. So that happens to me all the time because I'm using Twilio as part of my smart plans and people often text me back. Okay, so let's go into command. I could do this on my phone, but since we're in a classroom, I'm going to do it on the desktop. If I go to my notifications, okay, here's what it says. Okay, text from George Bowers confirming receipt. Okay, so here's his text. Okay. Let me close this out so it's out of our way. Let's view details so we can see it. That'll take me to his contact. And I will see in my timeline his response. So here's my text to George, and here's his response to me. All right, so when you're using Twilio, as you're texting back and forth with people, it will show up right there in the contact card, and you'll get a notification as soon as they respond to you. For that reason, it's a really good idea to keep this notifications thing pretty cleared out. Every once, I look at other people's computers all the time when I'm helping them with something, and I notice that a lot of people don't clear their old notifications. And the problem with that is if you've got 45 notifications there, you might not notice when a new one comes in. So we want to make sure that we're always clearing that out so that you see those texts that are coming through. Okay, how are we so far? Any questions, comments, anything? Okay. All right, now what if somebody called you from that number? That happens to me sometimes. So I'm using Twilio, it's sending text messages, and somebody decides to send a text back, they just want to talk to you. And they call me, right? You should turn on call forwarding, because what call forwarding does is it sends that call to your cell phone number, your regular cell phone number. When you answer, it says call from Twilio or something like that. So you know it's something coming from Twilio, and then you're talking to them. It uses credits. I don't remember how many. It's used a few credits. So, and it's per minute. So what I do then, when I get that call, is I make the call short and tell them I'm going to call them right back, and then I call from my cell phone. And that's sort of how I use Twilio. Twilio for me is, I'm usually using it with people that I haven't really met yet. Maybe I've met them, I don't really have a relationship with them yet. It's somebody that I'm communicating with online, trying to get to the point where, they're, I'm talking to them every day and we're buying a house or selling a house or whatever it is. At the point where I'm really working with them, I usually at that point tell them, let me give you my personal cell phone number. That one's a work number. Let me give you my personal cell, just because I want to make sure I reach you. They always like that, right? Because it sounds like I'm just putting them in a closer communication. But for me, it's a lot easier because then it's on my regular cell and I'm not using the credits, but I also just see it. That's what I personally do. You could do it either way. There are some agents who just run all their business using Twilio. You certainly could. You can't dial out using that number though. Okay. Good so far. All right. The main way to use Twilio is with a smart plan. So I'm going to go to smart plans. Many smart plans that are in the library have text messages as part of the smart plan. So if you are using a smart plan and you don't have Twilio connected, you're losing out on all of those texts. They are not going through if you don't have that, if you don't have Twilio active. So let's just look at, I'm going to go to the library. So right now I'm looking at my personal smart plans that I have in mind. Right. Let's just go to the library. Almost every one of these is going to have some text messages as part of it. Okay, not everyone. Monthly call plan is only phone calling. Okay, but many of them will. Okay, so if I look at the happy birthdays plan, for example, we just pull that one up. Just going to view steps. All right, it starts out telling me a task to send a handwritten note. Then it gives me a task to call. Then it tells me to make a social post. Then all the way at the bottom, it sends a text, an automated text that says, happy birthday. Okay, it's using Twilio. So if I were to try to use the happy birthday smart plan without Twilio, that last step is not going to go through. All right, let's just try making a smart plan that includes a text. So I'm going to go back to smart plans and I'm going to create a brand new smart plan. I'm going to call this one test. That way I remember to delete it later because I didn't really want to keep it. But think about this while it's loading. Think about how you might use this. If you have any events coming up, I'm running a home buyer center. I might want to send a combination of texts and emails to people who are potential buyers. Right? Or maybe you held an open house. You want to send a combination of texts and emails and phone calls, whatever you're doing, to the people who attended. All right. So here's a blank smart plan. I haven't done a thing yet to it. Over on the right, I have all of the things that I can have my smart plan do. Okay, and we want to send a text. Okay. So if I click on send text, it adds that step over to my smart plan. And I have two choices. I can send an automated text using Twilio, or I could create a text task. It's so hard to say. So if you don't have Twilio, you have to do the text task. And what that would do is that command would give you a task saying, send a text to Kim saying happy birthday. And then you would take out your cell phone and just send the text. Instead, we're going to use Twilio and have it happen automatically. So it's saying my Twilio account is connected, doing an automated text, my Twilio account is connected, and here's where we just type in whatever our text message is going to be. Okay, so let's try it. So my smart plan is right here, so I'm going to say hello. And then I want to have their name. And now I'm going to answer George's question that he was talking about. Let's say I have 400 buyers leads in my command. I want to send that text to all of them. So I want the text to have their name. Let's say, hello, George, hello, Ken. Okay, it's part of the text. Start typing my text. Here's where I want the first name. Whenever you see this little guy here, 2 brackets with an F in the middle, that's a field that you can insert. All right, so we wanted their name. So I'm going to go to that little arrow next to that F. And here are the things that I can have. I can have an agent's name in there. I can have a home anniversary. So there's a lot of choices for things that I can insert there. Okay, take a look through. Get this out of my way and see if I can make this work a little better. Sorry. I always have so much trouble with my right hand. I lean on the mouse and then I am in trouble. I'm doing the wrong thing. Okay, so I can have I don't want agent first name. I want the contact first name. Mine's not letting me scroll because I have this stupid thing on. Are you seeing that work on yours, Kim? Can you see it on yours?
No, I was just letting you
Okay. Got it. Well, try it out if you can. It lets me just insert things. I can insert their home anniversary. I can insert their email, their last name, their first name. Okay.
How do you choose like each person's name?
So I'm going to put this in a smart plan. And then I'm going to have all these people in the smart plan. Yeah. Yeah, so that would work great though. Like just think it through with like that example with the open house. You know, hi, contact first name. And then I can say whatever I want to say after that, you know, please come to, yeah, they would have to be in your contacts to do this. Because that's the only way you can assign a smart plan, by putting them in your contacts. But you could have just their first name and phone number and this smart plan would work. You know, that's all I really need for it is some place to text them. And then I can type the text. Okay. One thing that I find annoying about command that I've already said, put in my feedback, is I can't attach a graphic here. Like, I just think that's simple. Like, I could do it in another place, why can't I do it here, but I can't. So if you want to use that example I had where you're attached to the photo, you have to do that first reaction. You know, so the market center sends out that text every week. We can't use a smart plan, which is unfortunate because I would rather do that week so that you can schedule it in advance. You know, if you want to include a graphic, you've got to do it with your text. You do it with an email, but if you want a graphic with your text, you've got to do it using that first way I showed you. Go to my contacts, use my fields to select just some people, and then send it to text. I can use emojis, however, using this little button right here. Up to 480 characters for my text. It's kind of nice. And one more thing I want to point out, you can either do what's called a static text or dynamic. Here's the difference between those. A static text is sending just the same text message out each time. If I wanted to, I could make a dynamic text. I'm going to click on that. Okay. And it's going to cycle through them. So you can have up to 6 text messages and it'll just go through all 6 of them. So for example, if I, let's say I had a smart plan that was going to repeat every month. Every month the smart plan just starts over. I could have up to 6 text messages so that she just stood up every once in a while, you know? So the one that automatically goes, you can change the different. You can have up to 6. Yeah. So here, look, I did that dynamic and say text number 1, text number 2, I can do up to 6 text messages. And the first time it sends out text message number 1. Next time it goes through, it sends out number 2. Next time I got to number 3. It's just a way of you being able to do a repeating smart plan without saying exactly the same thing each time. Cool. I don't use it a ton, but every once in a while I do. To go back to static. Okay. All right. So so that's my whole smart plan is just that text. Okay. Not gonna do the whole class on smart plans. I won't do all the other stuff in it. But I wrote a text and I saved it, and my smart plan is called test. Now let's say that I wanted to send this smart plan out to more people. I'm going to get out of my smart plan and go to my contacts. And then I'm going to figure out who I want to send this to. Okay, so let me do the buyer leads again. Buyer lead, okay, apply. All right, so now I see all my buyer leads, 446 of them. I'm going to show 500 at a time. I'm going to select them all. Okay. And now before we did select bulk action and we did send a text, This time we're going to say add them to a smart plan. And here's my smart plan that I called test. Not the most creative name, but that's all right. All right. Couple things different when you're doing it as a smart plan. First of all, it tells me how many contacts have errors. So these are the people who have no phone number is what the error is. And if I wanted to, I could click export right here. And then command is going to give me an Excel sheet of all of the contacts that are missing a phone number. Right, that's kind of handy. You know, maybe then you know who you need to work on. You know, in this case, these are people who are strangers to me, but you might not always have that situation. Let's say that you're sending out a text to everybody who is in your kids' PTA, okay, or something like that. I could then go and figure out, oh, here's all the people I need to get a phone number for. And maybe you call around and ask other people or whatever you're going to do to get their phone numbers. But that's what you would be able to do is just export this list and know who you need to work on. Okay, I'm going to hit remove contacts with errors because I don't want to send this text to everybody if there's no reason if they don't have a phone number, right? The other reason why a smart plan is kind of handy is that I can either start it later or I'm going to scroll down and I'll be able to stagger it. So here's why that would be good. Let's say you have an open house on Saturday and you want to send out a text about it. You can plan it and write it today and schedule it to run the smart plan on a different day. You know, so maybe I'm going to just schedule right now. I want this thing to go out on Friday. I can do that. Instead of having to do it and immediately send it, I can do it in advance. Or I can do it as part of a whole communication smart plan. I can have a smart plan about my open house. I can use the same example that has 2 emails and 2 text messages and 1 phone call, right? And I could choose what day I'm going to start it. It doesn't have to be right away. I can choose to start it a different day. Or if I scroll down, I can choose to stagger it over the next few days. Okay, so maybe I have 100 of these, let's say I'm communicating with 100 people. Maybe I want 20 of them to start every day. Okay, if it's not something that's really time sensitive, that might be better. I especially like that. Do you ever do one smart plan or a phone call as part of it? Right? If I have 100 people, I don't want a text to call 100 people all on the same day. Right? So maybe my smart plan has a phone call, then an email, then a text. I might stagger it and do 10 or 20 a day. And that way I don't all of a sudden have a day with 100 phone calls. I'm staggered over time. Every day I get 10 or 20 phone calls. 10 or 20 texts go out, 10 or 20 emails go out instead of it all at once. So you just have a little bit more options. Thoughts on this? Questions? It's pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm going to cancel it because I certainly don't want to send that. And it would if I hit confirm where you're sending that. Okay. All right. Back to the settings. There's two classes that I teach in the series that are always a little bit short. And this is one of them. So we're not going to go all the way till 2. So feel free to ask me questions about something else because it never takes me till 2. I'm going to go to manage. I'm going to my settings. I'm going to Twilio. I'm hitting manage. Okay. I wanted to show you, this is where you would enable the call forwarding at the bottom. See, mine's enabled, so I can choose to disable it if I want. And I can choose the phone number. But here's what I want you to see is that it charges me 6 credits if I have that call forwarding. And then each minute it's charging me 3 credits. Okay, so I want that turned on because I don't want to miss that phone call, but I don't want to sit there for a half hour or something. Miss all those credits. Okay, questions, thoughts? All right. I mean, since everybody walked in here having it all set up, like we missed the whole first section, you know? Because normally I'm sitting there helping everybody get set up. All right. That's all I got on Twilio. So, you know, I'm happy to just answer questions about anything else about command or whatever you want to ask.
Wait, you go is set up?
Yeah.
I had one today. So, I went to the, Zillow for me. And it's in the. We're doing some things that are not things. No, that's not what I did. Okay, okay, I'm sure settings. Show me what you're talking about.
Yes, Twilio. Yeah, here, okay. All right, anything else? Because we're done early and I'm happy to answer other questions. Got 20 minutes if you have another command topic. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to end the Zoom and I'm just going to hang out here. And if somebody has any questions, I will answer them. Otherwise, next week. So first of all, I don't know if you noticed this, but Sarah at the front desk redid our website. So if you have not had a chance to look at the new website, take a second and do it because she did a terrific job. This website was here before, but what she's added is an agent portal and a resource library. And there's a lot there. So when you have a chance, go and play around with it. You'll need a password to get into it. And the password is 960. That's our market center number. Okay, so 960 in all of the places that ask for a password, that's it. And this has a lot of the same information as was on the resources page before. It's just in a different format, but there's a lot more there. So just take, you know, I just wanted to plug that and let you see that it's there. The calendar's in a lot of places. One of them is here. I'm just going to go to the coaching, but there's it's in multiple places here. Here's our training calendar. And next week we'll be working on Facebook ads. It's funny, this is a short class. I'm going to struggle to finish that in an hour. So if you're coming to Facebook ads, already have a Facebook business account before you get here, because you'll be rushing around if you're trying to set that up while you're here. Okay, so you must have a Facebook business account, and just be ready to start right on time because we are going to be cruising through. So Facebook ads is next week, and then I will not be teaching a command class on the 23rd because I'll be on vacation. But then command apps is on the last week where we'll be talking about the command app itself and also the other Keller Williams app. And then I also just want to mention there's open Q&A every Wednesday from 11 to 12 now. And what that means is either Michelle or I will be sitting at that table right outside the training center. We're also going to have Zoom open and you can just stop by with whatever question you want. So please record if you just, you can always make an appointment with us or call and text us and have a question, but that's just an open time for anybody to just walk through. All right. Bye, everybody on Zoom.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.